Organizations do it all the time. It's nice to have you back in the herd. They say one thing, but they're doing another. Remember the New York Giants? We did not sign Odell Beckham to trade Odell Beckham. Why did guys like Jay Glazer keep going on the air and saying they're going to trade him? Don't believe Gettleman. The Houston Rockets, Chris Paul and James Harden get along great. These rumors are outrageous. And then they traded him because they didn't get along. Folks, what an organization is selling the masses sometimes is true, and a lot of times it's not. It's my job, not your responsibility, to figure out when there's a bunch of BS. I've been saying for the last 2 to 3 years, everybody in Oklahoma City with half a brain knew that Westbrook can't be your number one guy. You can't build around him. You got to get out of that contract. Well, we find out now Oklahoma City wanted to get out of that contract. According to Kevin O'Connor at The Ringer, very well-sourced, smart guy, that Sam Presti, the GM of Oklahoma City, would not admit it. But he said a rival executive, Sam's way too smart to not know the team had reached its ceiling with Westbrook. The second point is Kawhi's recruitment gave OKC an out because the minute Paul George said, I want to go, you could trade Westbrook then without all the backlash. Oklahoma City's a small town. They'd lost Harden. They lost Durant. It is very difficult for the Memphises. You see this a lot of times in all sports. The small market, they get their star. I mean, you can't criticize Cam Newton in Charlotte. But you can go to New York and L.A. and Chicago and Dallas, and Dak Prescott gets ripped in Dallas. They've got a hockey team. They've got an NBA team. They've got a baseball team. They got major university. It's a big, broad, sophisticated Dallas sports market. You can rip a star. You can't rip Cam Newton despite his inconsistency in Charlotte. And OKC is small, and they put their arms around Westbrook, and they lost Katie and Harden. It was like, don't take our guy. Everybody knew inside the building. And I'll give you the reason why. NBA fires coaches nonstop. I mean, good God. Dwayne Casey wins Coach of the Year in Toronto. He got the trophy next door at Starbucks as he found out he got fired. They fire everybody. Yet Billy Donovan, OKC, can't win games in the first round with the highest payroll or second highest payroll in the league. And there's never been a rumor. You can't find a story. Billy Donovan's never in trouble. How is that possible? How is Billy Donovan exempt from this vicious NBA coaching cycle where competent people get run because of bad owners and pressure? And Billy Donovan can't win a first-round series. Hell, he can struggle to win a first-round game. There was never a rumor. With the second highest payroll. Because the GM, the owner, the coach, they all knew Westbrook's a talent. We got to move off this contract. If he's our number one guy, now maybe he can be your number two in Houston, but you can't win when your number one guy is Westbrook. And he's difficult, and he's brutal with the press, and he's rigid, and he won't change. Billy Donovan never, ever, ever has been in trouble, and he can't win games in the first round with the second highest payroll. That's telling you that the owner and the GM, they're all in on it. They all knew, and this gave them the out to move. And by the way, and I've said this before, I get small markets, they couldn't criticize Westbrook because it's harder for small markets. I read a story this morning. Westbrook had so much power in the organization, they gave it to him, that he was literally dictating terms on media policy. Oklahoma City is the only team that wouldn't allow pregame interviews because Westbrook didn't like him. Why? I mean, Miami didn't allow D-Wade to do that, and D-Wade's got titles. D-Wade's a better player than Westbrook in his prime. Why? Because it's Miami. A lot of people want to play in Miami. Aqua water, beach, no state tax, Pat Riley. So Miami's never going to hand the franchise to even D-Wade, who, next to Dan Marino, or maybe more than Dan Marino, is the biggest star in any one city in America. Seriously. Like Dan Marino and D-Wade own Miami in sports. They didn't hand the franchise to D-Wade. He wasn't dictating policy. But Westbrook was dictating policy because Oklahoma City knows we don't get stars, just like LeBron in Cleveland. You can see it. You can set the media policy. I mean, literally, Westbrook would often dictate, according to a story I read this morning, when they flew in and out of towns. Like, we're not going to stay the night here and practice here. We're going to go somewhere else. What? That's what LeBron did in Cleveland. Why? Because it's Cleveland. Westbrook did it in Oklahoma City. Why? Because it's Oklahoma City. The Lakers love LeBron. They're not going to let him totally dictate the franchise. I mean, the Yankees love their star players. It's the Yankees. The Cowboys love their star players. It's the Cowboys. It's the Steelers. It's the Packers. You can't dominate the team. You can't dominate the franchise. Westbrook was allowed to do it, but they all knew the con inside of the game, which was you can't win with him. You can't win in the playoffs. He's exhausted by the time the playoffs come. Analytically, he doesn't work in the NBA today long term, and he's hard to play with at times. Houston, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But it's not his city now. It's not his franchise. It's James Harden's franchise. And James Harden's better than Westbrook. But this story with Presti is, it's really funny where they all knew the game. But what you're sold as the public is many times the truth, but sometimes it's not. Gettleman wanted out of OBJ for 2 years. They wanted out of that for 2 years. Chris Paul and Harden, I know you think it's all fake news. They didn't get along. That's why they moved them. They didn't get along. And by the way, Westbrook, they knew. What they told you, they knew. And we're going to blast them publicly, but they knew. Enjoy the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
So the Lakers are coming off a obviously disappointing season where expectations were initially pretty high, a little higher once the season got started than we thought they were going to be. But since they've added another star in Anthony Davis and upgraded their supporting cast, led by Danny Green, expectations are even higher. And GM Rob Pelinka reiterated that, saying, I think we took a lot of what happened last year into account in kind of shaping the roster and shaping our goals for the season. You always have to learn and evolve and adapt as a leader from the past. For us, anything short of a championship is not success. So we have to learn from last season because we didn't win a championship. Thank you, Rob Pelinka. This is a quote I can get behind. I cannot stand when organizations who clearly have championship aspirations say things like, well, it's not a failure if we don't win a championship. Yes, it is a failure.
For the Yankees, they should win more championships.
If you are in a rebuilding year and everyone knows it, it's not a failure if you don't win a championship. In fact, if you win a couple playoff rounds, you can consider that to be a success because you're building.
Right.
But once you've built the machine should operate, and the goal of the NBA is to win an NBA championship. So I have no problem with this statement.
Did you see the over-under on the Lakers win total?
Yes.
It's a little high, didn't you think?
51.5.
So 52 for the over.
Right. They were 37 and 45 last year.
That's a lot of...
That's quite an increase.
West is way better. And do you really think this roster with Frank Vogel is going to click in a month or...
No, I think they're going to struggle, as they often do, as LeBron teams often do in the beginning of the season. They come out strong, and then they have a couple months, and everyone freaks out and says they should trade everybody or make some major move. And then after the All-Star break, everything comes together. It's how it works when he's healthy.
Right.
But I think that obviously, Anthony Davis is going to account for more wins in this situation. And I think LeBron being healthy is what they're considering for the entire year, is what they're considering also. I don't know. I don't know that it stuck out to me as that much of a staggering number because of Anthony Davis and the assumption that LeBron's going to be healthy, but these are the expectations when you put this team together.
By the way, the NBA over-unders came out yesterday. Bet the under on virtually all of them. The NBA has always been a story league. Like, it's a narrative league. And, like, all the teams that made moves, their win totals fly. It's like Brooklyn doesn't have Durant yet. Slow down a little on the 45, 46 wins for Brooklyn. Durant's not playing. Kyrie's brand new. They got a bunch. Last year,
it is the East, too.
Yeah, I guess. But outside of Toronto, Indiana, I think, will be better. Philly's better. Milwaukee will be better. The East is not as terrible as everybody thinks.
You're probably right. Some of these two should probably consider the under. So a celebration was held in Milwaukee on Sunday to honor Giannis, their MVP. The second he came on stage, the crowd was quick to serenade him with MVP chants, and those were the same that were echoed in the arena all year long. But he was quick to flip the script on the crowd, asking them a kind of unusual favor.
After this day, July 14th, please do me this favor so I can be better. I can be a better player. I can lead this team to a championship. Please don't call me MVP. Listen. Please, after this day, don't call me MVP because until I win it again next year. Let's go get the big trophy now.
You gotta love Giannis.
Yeah, not much not to like.
He's just very humble. I think he's just trying to set his own expectations for everything and manage that in his own humility. But he had an incredible season. He completely deserved the MVP.
Did you see him in the batting cage at Yankee Stadium? It was so great. 7-footers should not take batting practice.
Well, hitting a baseball is harder than it looks. They make it look very easy. Obviously he's, not joking, but he's setting expectation very high to win a back-to-back MVP. He does have the highest odds, though, initially, right now. I actually think that I would go with Kawhi Leonard as the very, very, very early MVP prediction.
Yeah, I'd probably say so. Yeah.
It's become...
Well, it's become a very... It's become
it's become a bit romanticized.
Yes.
Not that it's not deserving. It's definitely deserving. And I think a part of the MVP...
I'll give you one. I'll give you one. Okay, look at that list, Joy. Giannis, Curry, Harden, Leonard, James, Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, Luka, Jokic. Okay, I'll give you one. Who are we going to have a little sympathy for this year? Of all those players on that list, who just lost a great player? Steph Curry.
So Steph Curry.
Watch this.
My only pushback on that is that I do think there's a little bit of a fatigue with the Warriors. So even though I think the Warriors are going to be a lot better than everyone thinks, I think everyone is just completely discounting the D'Angelo Russell move as just nonsense. I think it's bigger than people think. I do think they're going to be good this year, and I think Steph Curry's going to have a great year. But he's won 2 MVPs already, and I think everyone's just kind of...
But the guys around him, Harden's won, Giannis has won, LeBron's won.
Kawhi hasn't.
Yeah, but Kawhi takes 20 games off. He takes time off. So we're all going to feel sorry for Steph Curry. And if he wins 45, we're going to go, it always was his team. He is so valuable. That's what the awards become.
It has, but I just think there's a little fatigue with the Warriors. I totally hear you, and I do think they're going to be better, but my pick would be Kawhi. So finally, Chris Paul is making a stopover in Oklahoma City. He doesn't want to be a part of a rebuilding project and wants to be traded again before the season starts, but the Thunder are having a very hard time finding anyone to take the contract off his hands.
Really?
According to Steve Kyler, having talked with a few GMs, there's almost no appetite for the final year of CP3's deal. My understanding is the Thunder may have to shovel over several picks to get a team to look at the cap hit. Today, I think he starts the season in OKC. Now, the Heat remain to be his preference, but according to Brian Windhorst, when you talk about him potentially going to Miami Heat, which is his preference, one thing I've been told in the talks, the fact that the Thunder hold the 2 of the Heat's first-round picks in the future, unprotected 2021 and protected 2023. This makes this a difficult conversation because the Heat want those picks back. So
right.
I do think those teams have a lot to talk about. The contract is rough, particularly the $44 million player option in 21-22.
So he's expensive, hard to play with, and hurt. That's why I said Westbrook's contract, expensive, hard to play with, prime. If not prime, close to it.
Prime, and also, like you were just saying earlier, there comes a time in a situation where it's just, you've just reached it. Like, this is just what you guys are together, and you're not going to go past that. The player may be great, the coach may be good, it's just not going to move past this spot. For whatever personal reasons or whatever it is, it's not all one person's fault. There were trades that were made. They had Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook all on the same team at one time. Remember that? They went to a finals together. Like, everything is not one person's fault. Sometimes you just reach that point. So that's what it is. And that's what it was with Chris Paul, too. Like, you guys have reached the point that there's nowhere to go from here.
No way I would take Chris Paul's contract. The Philadelphia is the only landing spot for me.
A young team doesn't want him.
I know. I mean, again, I can deal with some injuries. I can deal with expensive, but I got 3 different times he's gone to a team and doesn't get along with anybody, and he doesn't get along with stars. Well,